welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
I'm Tori.
Hi, I'm Jesi.
I'm Tori.
And I'm Josh, and today we are going to be going over a Yiddish folktale called Naked Truth and Resplendent Parable. And it is only a page long. It is very short, but it is very meaningful, and there's a lot to explore. The discussion starter that I have for this is...
This is an old Yiddish folktale.
Going to come from my Literary Gladiators notebook.
Can I ask a quick question before you start that? The actual discussion question. So I'm not as familiar with what exactly Yiddish is, and I'm sorry.
So
I know a lot of people aren't.
Leaving,
I was going to say, oh no, he's got something. Is it going to hit me? Oh, perfect. That's what I'm saying. So it's just, I know I'm not the only person who's not quite sure. Is it a language, or is it something, a culture? Is it more
it's,
like...
It's a little bit of both. So
Yiddish,
Yiddish itself is a language, but it's kind of turned into a culture over the years.
Yeah, that's...
But anyway, my mom wrote that book, and she
really?
can, yeah.
Hebrew's the more traditional
and if you want to check that out,
Jewish
I just
language,
thought I would...
even though
cool.
Yiddish is...
It's like a subset.
Yeah.
I know what it is, but I don't really know what it is.
It's just a
lot of them are slang words that we recognize plenty of them.
Yeah, like have you ever heard the word, I'm trying to think of a good one, putsch.
Schmuck.
Yeah,
schmuck.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely
There's
heard of that.
a whole other thing for another day. There's a lot of intersectionality with comedy that we've heard people say, and even the kind of pattern of how certain things are delivered that is tied to Yiddish. Because so many Jewish comedians were, popular back in the day.
Yes.
So you see that one in the same.
Well, I would say
a
a lot of Yiddish base off of Hebrew roots.
I thought it would be a good question because, like I said, I know it, I'm familiar with it, but I didn't know what it was for a long time, and it's a little confusing. So this is a Yiddish folklore story that we read.
Yep. So this is probably a story. If I had to guess, it was probably written in Eastern Europe, possibly.
Yes, this whole collection is primarily
and that's kind
Eastern
of where
European
Yiddish originated.
culture.
Was in that area.
But the discussion starter I have is: do you believe that the message from this folktale provides teachers, in the broad sense, with an effective mechanism in teaching good morals?
Yes.
I think to a degree, yeah.
Would you like to elaborate?
Because it basically boils down to, if you give somebody cold hard facts, usually people tend to shy away from them. But if you're able to dress it up,
I think that's the best way to do it because, it's not just religion that does that. It's also, a lot of children's books do that.
Absolutely.
It can be applied to anything.
Exactly.
There's class lessons, church services in general.
Case in point, last week's story in Everywhere.
Eating food.
Yeah.
When you want somebody to eat a vegetable, finding a creative way to get them to eat it is
sometimes,
Sometimes a little seasoning to dress it up.
Yeah, I was going to say,
even adults too.
Our family, my family, likes to call this kind of story spicy logic because what it is it's got very logical, factual stuff in it, but it's sugar-coated, or in this case, spiced up with different kinds of, not just opinions from one person, but sometimes opinions from other people, and also just general reasons to make you believe that something...
Yeah, when you make things more appealing, you're more likely to have somebody's ear than if you just throw statistics and,
people remember it more too.
Precisely.
If
you make the statistic, I just finished for a few months ago when I read The Uninhabitable Earth with the BookTube Prize. That was such fascinating information about climate change, but it was presented so poorly. I think that you were talking statistics. You can be very creative with statistics, but in this more, as the parable, not necessarily a parable, but if you color it, not necessarily
you don't have to water
stuff
stuff down.
You don't have to water
that finding a palatable, easy medium between giving that information and giving it in a way that... And we find ourselves in this nowadays, I think, constantly. Finding a happy medium between adding some personality and some reason why somebody will be able to say, oh, I can understand that because, and connect it to their personal lives, as well as adding in well, this information is very pertinent because it needs to be conveyed.
As long as it's properly executed.
There's things, too, that you can even look at, how what's happening in the world now. You have a lot of, right now you have the protesters, and you have people who know what it's like to be, oppressed versus people who don't, and they can better relate to that if you find a common ground and somewhere to, talk about it that, those who don't normally feel oppressed can relate to and understand a little bit better what, another group of people are going through. So, I think this kind of story, not story, but a truth that it tells, it's done so you can be used in anything, literally anything.
So in this case, you're kind of saying like the parable being kind of like the basic story opinion kind of thing, and then the truth being the thing that everyone is going to feel is like logical and factual.
And that's what you're supposed to say is the naked truth. It's unadorned. It's whatever it is. Yeah, it's whatever is supposed to be face value versus putting a little bit of a dressing on it, putting a little spice or spin on it.
Yeah, we actually call it spicy logic. That's what my parents call it.
But I would
Let's just say I didn't always used to believe in spicy logic, and that's why it kind of came up.
I will say this, though. I think parables are better when it comes to teaching lessons than it is to teaching facts. I think that when it comes to teaching facts, even if you want to find creative ways in order to, I think that it's better to incorporate actual historical and scientific information.
I'm going to slightly disagree with you there, and I'm going to say it depends on someone's age. I feel that because I'm trying to become a teacher right now, and I've been teaching kids different things. And when I teach kids things directly, if I were to tell them facts directly, like I don't know, Mercury is the first planet from the sun. Like,
well, there's no reference point for that. I wouldn't be able to. I'd be like, okay, fine, whatever.
I know, but like when I say that to a kid, like someone who's like elementary ed or something, to just say that in a phrase. Yeah, they might listen to it, but it's not, to make it so they listen to it in a better way, you gotta make it a little more fun, maybe have a project involved, have some...
I remember being taught about the solar system in first grade, and it turned into an interest that I wanted to get into even more.
So, so I'm gonna kind of back Ari up too, that, I used to teach preschool. I've done, it was many years ago, but I used to teach preschool, and, especially the younger ages, their brain is still, in the early stages of development, which is such a great time to teach them so many things, and you can
They're still unafraid of asking questions of why.
Exactly, and so, you can even go back to the story, instead of just dressing up a fact, things like math can be dressed up with M&Ms. Like, okay, we have 2 yellow and 2 green. How many M&Ms total? Okay, how many just yellow and how many
That's not necessarily a parable, though.
That's what I was going to say, is we're spinning this a little too far into the actual teaching. This is talking about morality
what I'm more so referring to was... I remember going over something where the question of why do dogs and cats generally dislike each other? And they incorporated a moral as to why. I would prefer to hear scientific research as to what it is that causes dogs and cats to dislike one another, and if there's anything, yes.
So it's like why versus how.
Yes.
Okay.
If it's,
I want to stop you right there because I'm going to tell you something that my dad used to do for every 10th grade class. And it's related. It's related.
You referred to this in the guinea pig or on the
I did, and I'm going to refer to it again because it's very interesting. So my dad is the rabbi at our synagogue, and every 10th grade class, he would ask people. He'd try to predict what you would do in college and what you would do for the rest of your life by asking you, like, one question. And the question was something like, if you wanted to pick a subject, like whether it be math, science, geography, whatever, and then when you do pick the subject, are you more interested in finding out why something happens, or are you more interested in how something happens? And usually when you picked how, it was more like engineering, science, math. But if you were to pick why, it was more like English, history, that kind of stuff. I think
one's more philosophical and one's more mechanical.
Right, and I think that can be kind of applied here because if you're thinking about how, if you're dressing up a fact, you could be looking for more, like Josh said, he was looking for a more scientific reason, but someone could also be looking for a more general reason.
In a way, historical too.
Historical reason.
Where historical and scientific, because it gives me information as to why dogs and cats don't like one another, and not a story explaining such.
So there's also, you have to look
It's
at
a
it,
tall tale.
every single person, thinks differently and wants to know different things. So what might work for some people, like you would rather know the scientifics and the facts, whereas other people, just in a way just kind of need to learn it. So the easiest and most memorable way to
Like
learn
axioms,
it.
yeah.
So, it also depends on the person too. and how
That's
they're
kind of
looking
why
at
I was
it.
mentioning kids, because kids are more able to take simpler, even if they're tall
Concepts,
tales, they're
yeah.
able to take those.
I think kids, when you get them, and it's how you introduce. Yes, it should be a simple introduction, dressing it up, but letting them kind of explore that themselves.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely. But to kind of circle all the way back to the question of morality and kind of parable, I think it's a very good way of education, because it gives a humane, it adds some, you can add an interesting spin to it that, like I said, opens the door, educating any sort of topic.
It's
So,
like morality by story rather than morality by telling.
Yeah,
basically.
because-
kind of like what you said about Neil Gaiman last week.
Yeah, it puts a face sometimes, and this does this parable about parables. The naked truth. You can imagine you're not going to want to pay attention to anybody who's walking around with no clothes on.
Yeah.
Especially when they're an older man.
Exactly, they're crashy old.
That was just what I was going to get to. Was
Yeah.
what did you think about the example that was given?
I
I
think
thought it
that's
was great.
Yeah, it did it.
Yeah,
It was very successful.
because
It's visceral.
it's very, in a way, you could see it as self-deprecating in how there are older people that do wear flashy clothing pretty well. When you think about it and you think about it again, it's just a brilliant example.
Yeah, it
And
does the job
just-
successfully of
Making a point by making the point.
exactly.
And
Yes,
then-
yes.
It's just the message clear is everyone likes things to be disguised and prettied up a bit. And that's where
Is it right?
truth and parable.
I'm going to leave that for everybody else.
It all
Yeah.
depends on
Does it
how
work?
it's executed.
Yeah, is it successful? Yes.
Yeah.
It all
Yes.
depends on how you look at them.
And you know who one of the best executors was when it came to teaching through parables? Jesus of Nazareth.
I mean, you can find people who've done it successfully, and I mean, people go every Sunday to church,
I
and
should say,
a lot
religious texts are an excellent example of that kind of stuff.
Not just the text, but even the preachers, the rabbis. They do it to pass. Because I read the Bible studying it. It can be a drag, and sometimes you need that interpreter.
Good pastors
sort
and
of
good
way.
rabbis are able to take those texts.
And
I've
makes it
actually
more
been reading the
modern
Old Testament
relatable.
quite often lately.
It's
I
so
kinda get where
interesting.
it's coming from.
But it's
Yeah, but
it's hard to
regardless, you're able to take that information, instill it in yourself, and you're able to present it in a way where it becomes interesting. And that's the end of the day. Is that's what it's supposed to be saying? Is you're able to put the robe and the flashy garments
Right.
on top of whatever that naked truth is supposed to be.
I guess it's kind of like the story of Joseph and the Amazing Colored Technicolor Dreamcoat,
That's another
except they make it
great
into a musical.
Yeah, well,
here's the other
That's
thing
just
too,
a turn-out
is
version
that
of it,
you
yeah.
have these old texts as well, and dressing it up could also be a way, making it more modern, making it more understandable.
Oh my
So
God, that just
it
made me think of,
changes every several
do you
years,
remember? We were talking about Romeo and Juliet, and it's all texties. It's all emojis.
Yes.
Somebody actually did that. Somebody posted, and old me would have said oh my God, why would they do that? But nowadays, I'm just you know what? If it gets
Why
somebody
not?
interested, if it's dressed up in such a way where you say, well, hey, now I understand this, and it
I
gets
saw a
opens
British
the door to
version
other
of Hamlet
things.
with modern technology and like cameras and stuff.
You know what?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if it gets the point across, it gets you thinking about what it needs to be, and it gets you to remember whatever that's supposed to, that point, that reason, that reason for what you're doing. This is sign
Yeah.
the
The
for
moral.
the point, the moral. sorry, but that's what it's done its job.
Yeah. If David Tennant is playing Hamlet in the modern version of Hamlet, that's going to get my attention immediately.
It's wearing the right garb.
And Patrick Stewart's
I've
playing
watched
Blades.
some of that. Do we have any final thoughts?
Not really. I think
We agree.
it's great and short and
Pretty much.
makes a point by making the point. So
Already.
It's a page of parabolic parables.
If you are interested in checking out this and several other Yiddish folk tales, this was edited by Beatrice Silverman Weinreich and translated by Leonard Wolf. This is part of the Pantheon Fairy Tale and Folklore Library. Here is my copy.
Yep.
And because Jesi is moving to another state, Ari wanted to get you a gift.
Yeah, so
That is so sweet of you. You really didn't have to do
I got
that.
you a little something.
Thank you. Oh,
And I guess it also says from everyone just because they all approved of it. So.
and it's pink. I love pink. But oh, this is cute.
What does it say?
A safe move. Hope this gift inspires you to fly to new heights. Your friend Ari and Literary Gladiators. That's so sweet. Oh, and very pretty too.
Oh, yep.
Oh, I'm very excited. Thank you. Really, you guys, like, you didn't have to do anything. I know I'm seeing everybody, but... Oh my goodness. Is this... You texted me before. Oh, look how cute.
You're Dumbo.
Oh, I love it. He's so cute.
Yeah, I actually had texted her to see if she liked Dumbo. And
Yes,
other
that was
Disney. We talked about
like-
Disney movies for
I
a while.
love Disney. Like, I've been there many, many times, and I've seen all the movies and
Girl
all the
same.
songs. So, I'm a Disney fanatic.
Listen, I'm 2 inches too short to be a face. That's how much I love Disney. I know this and I'm upset.
But be sure to join
You're
us
welcome, Jesi.
next time on another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, and as always, we encourage you to keep reading.
Keep reading. Hey everybody, this is Ari from Literary Gladiators, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Next time, we're with Josh and Tori and Larry. We're going to be going over Isaac Asimov's short story, The Fun They Had. Really interesting story. Hope you guys can tune in next time, and for now, keep reading.